The Sarexian Empire reviews Earth's lack of fleet presence and unanimously deems humanity irrelevant. A mere probe mission is dispatched to mock the silence. They expect ruin. What they find doesn't compute. They built cities above fault lines, stored explosives under mountains, ate animals raw. Counselor Vior stepped forward, swirling a glass of thick orange vapor. If that's intelligence, then I suggest we downgrade our standards. The others laughed. 12 alien warlords, dozens of systems, each scarred by centuries of conflict, and yet all standing around one flickering map.earth.unshielded. Isolated. Still. Why now? Asked Admiral Krylos, flicking his claws against the hologram. They've been silent for 74 years. No transmissions, no scouts, not even trade. Vaur exhaled slowly. That's exactly why. The silence, it's bait. They're inviting us? They want to be seen. They want to seem vulnerable. He smiled. We will oblige. The probe they sent was sleek, fast, blessed by the finest of Sarexian engineers. It slipped past Pluto without resistance, crossed Neptune's wake without alert, drifted past Saturn's rings like a whisper on ice, and then it stopped. Midway between Mars and Earth. Not by command, by force. The drone's velocity dropped to 0 in less than a second. No radiation spike. No impact detected. Just stopped. The control chamber went still. Telemetry error, muttered Krylos. But it wasn't, because the probe sent one image before going dark. Just one. A shape, too large to orbit, too small to be a station. Black hole. Heatless, motionless. Then, the drone's final recorded log. Dreadnought class object identified. ID tag, unknown. Hull etching, DFO1. Requital, silence. Counselor. Vior leaned forward. I thought they scrapped their navy after the Kessler collapse, Krylos replied, voice strained. They did. Then what the hell is that? The Dreadnought moved, not with thrust. It drifted sideways as if it were listening. Its sensors locked directly onto the Sarexian drone's heat core. The drone tried to jump. It disappeared. Not destroyed. Just gone. And in its place, a message. Spoken, not written. Human voice. Male. Your curiosity is acknowledged. Your presence is not. The room froze. Admiral Krylos blinked twice. They have dreadnoughts, plural. Panic didn't come from fear. It came from math. A single Dreadnought-class vessel required over 120,000 engineers to maintain. The Sarexian fleet had retired theirs 2 centuries ago due to cost alone. Earth had none on record. No activity. No orbiting shipyards. No merchant signals, and yet DFO1. Requital had power signatures indicating self-sufficiency. We believe they dismantled, Krylos whispered. No, Vior said slowly. They went silent. Within an hour, all 12 counselors received direct alerts from their planetary defense systems. 12 new contacts, 12 vessels, all unmarked, all human. All dreadnought-class. Each positioned perfectly across Sarexian trade lanes. None spoke, none fired, none ran. Just waited. They're posturing. One strategist insisted. Then why aren't we laughing anymore? Another murmured. No one replied. And above the quiet hum of the star maps, one phrase now echoed across every screen. Silence is not surrender. It's calibration. And that was before Earth even responded. The requital didn't move for 12 hours. It just sat there like a statue forged out of the void, blind to protocol and unwilling to blink. The Sarexian fleet orbited Earth at cautious distance, dancing just outside the outermost gravity swell. Still no transmissions. No hails. Not even targeting locks. and yet not a single pilot dared drift closer. Every instinct told them, don't test the silence. Admiral Krylos stood at the observation window aboard the Sarexian command cruiser Threxios. Spite, arms crossed behind his back, eyes fixed on that single black monolith. It hadn't decloaked. It hadn't emerged. It had been there, waiting. A known unknown, tagged with a Terran ID code that hadn't been registered in nearly 90 years. He exhaled. We still don't have a response from the High Command? No, sir, came the reply. We filed 6 escalation pings and 2 system-wide alerts. Counselor Vior went silent 10 minutes ago. Krylos didn't move. He's not silent. He's scared. The crew exchanged glances but said nothing. He was right. The Council's silence wasn't bureaucratic delay. It was paralysis. Because no matter how many times they zoomed in, analyzed sensor sweeps, or cross-checked databanks, the data remained unchanged. 12 Dreadnoughts, each one older than Cyrex's oldest recorded fleet model. Each one warm with reactor heat, armed, manned somehow, and positioned like a closing trap. They had names etched in Terran script across their hulls: Requital, Sundering Grace, Vigilant Silence. DFO4, Oracle's debt. Each name was a poem or a warning. Or both, and none of them should exist. I don't understand, whispered the comms officer. Why hide them all this time? Krylos turned slowly, voice like stone. Because Earth didn't want to be seen. The crew fell silent. That was when the first human transmission arrived. No encryption. No demand. Just a single, unceremonious audio clip, spoken in an old Earth dialect. To the Sarexian fleet, cease orbital maneuvering or we will consider your presence hostile. You have 60 seconds. No countdown, no threat escalation. Just those words. Then, silence. Krylos's voice was steady. Stand down, all forward drift. Sir, I said, stand down. Orders relayed. Thrusters cut. The Sarexian fleet halted, like prey frozen before the predator's breath. The Dreadnoughts didn't respond. They listened. Somewhere deep inside one of them, human voices whispered across encrypted corridors. Not arguing, not panicked, just calm. They paused. Took long enough. You think they recognize the hull signatures? They will. They always do. One voice laughed, softly, bitterly. They called us obsolete. Now look who's hiding. Back aboard Threxios Spite, Krylos pressed his clawed fingers together. Open a tight beam. Let's try diplomacy. The officer hesitated. You? Think they'll respond? Krylos blinked slowly. No, but maybe they'll listen. He stepped closer to the transmitter, drew a slow breath, and spoke with carefully measured formality. This is Admiral Krylos of the Sarexian Interstellar Armada. We acknowledge your fleet's presence. We request peaceful contact and propose immediate mutual de-escalation. We were not aware that Earth maintained military infrastructure. No reply. A full minute passed. Then, finally, you weren't supposed to know. It was a woman's voice. Mid-30s, Terran accent, exhausted but cold. You weren't supposed to come back. Krylos stiffened. We were under the impression humanity had withdrawn from intergalactic defense treaties. The voice was quiet. We did. Then what? Are we seeing? Silence. Then the woman answered with surgical precision. What's left? That word landed hard. Not military. Not a nation. Not a warning. What's left? Not a fleet and aftermath. Krylos gestured for the mic again. Then help us understand. We mean no. A second voice cut in, male, older, harder. You mean no harm now, but you came looking. Probing, laughing, Krylos faltered. That was never our intent. You flew warships through a graveyard, the man said. What did you expect? Flowers? Cross closed his eyes. We didn't know. Now you do. Then nothing. No static. No comes cut off. Just the severance of connection like a door slamming shut in a tomb. The dreadnoughts began to move. Not toward the SYREXIANS. Away. Outward. Dispersing like shadows. Folding into deeper space. Track their trajectories. Cross snapped. They're moving toward the edge of the system, the officer said, frowning. But in the pattern, they're aligning. Another officer gasped. Sir, they're forming a perimeter net, a blockade. No, Cross muttered. A demonstration. 30 seconds later, the recoil fired. No warning. No sound. Just a single beam, clean, narrow, and perfect. It didn't hit a ship. It hit the moon and didn't explode it. It carved it. A single, massive message etched into the lunar surface in less than 3 seconds. Virelian and Syrexian satellites immediately translated the symbols. 3 words. You were warned. The fleet collapsed under the panic. Cross didn't shout. He simply turned and said, "Recall all vessels. Get them out of Sol." "But sir, the dreadnoughts aren't threatening us anymore." Cross's eyes narrowed. "They don't have to." Across deep space, at least 7 other galactic empires received fragments of the same transmission logs. Some dismissed it as doctored. Others panicked. One race, the Nithari, launched a full stealth recon into the Sol system. They never returned. All that came back was an encrypted pulse repeating every 4 minutes. Human silence was not permission. Behind Earth's orbit, the dreadnoughts vanished one by one, not cloaking. Leaving. Each carried ghosts in their engines and war in their bones. They were not defenders. They were monuments. Cross stood on the bridge, trembling. "Why now?" he whispered. "Why reappear? Why break the silence?" The answer came not from Earth, but from deep space, an intercepted Terran fleet signal. No clear source. No ship ID. Just 5 words, soft and final. Because you wouldn't stop knocking. And still, Earth hadn't responded. It started with a star chart. A simple one. Static display. Nothing more than a training tool for Syrexian navigators. Then the markers shifted. 12 red dots blinked into place around known hyperspace lanes, nowhere near Earth, nowhere even near Sol. "Those are dreadnought signatures," the cartographer stammered. "But not our dreadnoughts." "No," said strategist Kroll. "Ours don't run that quiet." Across 5 quadrants, trade fleets began halting mid-jump. Ships returned to port without reason. Miners refused to enter otherwise unoccupied. Systems. Not because of direct threat, because of proximity. Everywhere a dreadnought appeared, space became wrong. Empty space shouldn't hum, shouldn't listen, but it did now. The dreadnoughts weren't hunting, they were reminding. Back aboard the Syrexian flagship Threxial Spite, Admiral Krylos leaned against the command rail. His claws tapped slowly. "They're making a pattern," he said. One of his officers looked up. "A net? No, a message." He rotated the star map, refocused on the dreadnought movements across the outer sectors. When seen from the right angle, it was obvious. A circle. Earth was no longer the center. The galaxy was. Each dreadnought now marked the edge of a sphere. Quiet. Waiting. It wasn't defense. It was a memorial. Cross whispered, "They've drawn a line." On the outer edge of one of the mapped sectors, a diplomatic vessel approached a dreadnought. It sent only one transmission, requesting contact, clarification, understanding. No answer. The diplomat tried again, switching languages, signal, types, emotional tones, still silence. Then, finally, the dreadnought rotated. And opened a side panel. No weapons emerged. Just a projection, flickering, low resolution. A field. Gravestones. Real ones. Human names, children, soldiers, civilians. No context, just names. Then the signal cut out, and the diplomat's heart stopped in his chest. "They're not ships," he gasped. "They're graves." He returned to Cyrix, pale and speechless. His report triggered emergency silence protocols. Still Earth never spoke. The Dreadnoughts didn't explain. They simply remained. Every attempt to approach them failed. Sometimes violently, sometimes peacefully. A research pod near the Sundering Grace was returned untouched, but the crew all reported the same dream that night. A dream of burning skies and a voice whispering, "They told us to wait." Then came the first breach, not by Cyrix, not even military. A rogue pirate faction, emboldened by the rumors, believed the Dreadnoughts to be automated relics, rich with Terran salvage tech. They sent 5 ships to intercept the one known as Oracle's debt. Only one ship returned, and it had changed. No crew. Just a single message. Scorched into the pilot's chair. "You looted a coffin. Now you carry it." The vessel drifted back into deep space. No one dared stop it. That was when the panic turned academic. Universities across empires launched inquiries. Cultural theorists wrote books overnight. Spiritual leaders declared Earth sacred. Military tacticians rewrote doctrine. Still no Terran signal, because the Dreadnoughts were the signal, and their silence got louder. Inside a hidden system 3 jumps from the galactic core, a transmission was detected. It didn't match any known fleet code. It was old. Ancient by galactic standards. Pure Terran binary. It translated to Observer Beacon DFNet operational. Targets within proximity. Phase 2 awaiting clearance. The galaxy paused. Phase 2? Clearance from where? Who was giving orders? Was Earth not dead? Was Earth watching? Admiral Krylos received the report in the middle of a storm briefing. He canceled the rest of the meeting, locked the door, and played the message again. Phase 2. Clearance. And a dreadnought net spanning half the stars. He sat in silence for 20 minutes, staring at the wall. Then he whispered the only question that mattered. What was Phase 1? And why did it require 74 years of silence? No one had answers, just a slow-building fear. Because Earth wasn't reacting. They were waiting for something. A new signal pulsed from Requital. One line. Not audio. Not language. Just coordinates. The center of the sphere. Empty space. No planets. No stars. No bases. Nothing. And yet every dreadnought had oriented themselves toward it. Then the message updated. One new word, flickering across every military screen in known space. Home. Still, Earth did not respond, but no one laughed anymore. The center of the sphere was supposed to be empty. That's what every galactic archive confirmed. Deep scan surveys, trade maps, jump coordinates, all said the same thing: dead space. But the dreadnoughts pointed there. All of them, unified, aligned like ancient monoliths around a burial site. And then something answered. Not a ship, not a transmission, a glow. From nothing. Coordinates that once held cold, black silence now bled soft amber light like a sun being born without heat or mass. Instruments failed to read it. Gravitational readings didn't change. But every sentient being who looked at it felt it. Admiral Krylos stared at the display for over a minute before realizing his hands were shaking. "Sir," said the comms tech quietly, "there's a structure forming in the center. No propulsion, no build signals. It's just ... appearing." Krylos didn't blink. "Put it on main." The view screen pulsed. The glow coalesced. And then the shape formed. No clear edges, no color. Just a slow, shifting pattern like oil suspended in 0G, rotating in impossible geometry. "Is that a station?" One officer whispered, "No." Someone else answered from the shadows, "It's memory." The dreadnoughts responded instantly. One by one, their outer hulls rotated, not with thrust, with purpose. Like ancient planets moving into final alignment. They weren't pointing toward the center. They were funneling it. Cross gasped. "They've been holding it back this whole time." The soft amber light flickered, then sharpened, and the shape spoke. It wasn't a sound. It was remembering. Every comms array across every quadrant caught the same psychic pulse. A million screams. A billion lives. Lost in a battle no one ever recorded. The Kessler collapse was a lie. It wasn't Earth's failure. It was their sacrifice. 74 years ago, Earth detonated its own sky to keep something from escaping. Destroyed its own orbital grid. Burned its own fleet. Cut itself off from the galaxy. Not to retreat. To contain. And now whatever it was, it remembered. More pulses. Flashes of children hiding in bunkers. Mothers whispering lullabies as skyfire fell. Soldiers sealing bulkhead doors from the inside, locking themselves in. To keep it out. To keep it in. And the dreadnoughts? They weren't warships. They were jailers. Constructed not to destroy, but to orbit that wound in space. To hold the prison shut with hulls made of grief and silence. Now that prison was waking. Admiral Krylos stepped back. What the hell did they bury? No answer, only light. Then a voice. Soft, genderless, echoing across the stars like a song no one wanted to remember. Containment compromised. Final key required. Awaiting directive from Earth High Command. Everyone froze. Final key? Earth was still command? Cross's voice cracked. "Do we have Earth's frequency?" The technician laughed nervously. "They've never had one." The voice returned. "Earth has not responded in 27,038 days. Awaiting override." The dreadnoughts did not move. The light pulsed again. Harder now, sharper, faster. And then, for the first time in 74 years, Earth spoke. A single planetary broadcast. No encryption. No preamble. Just one tired human voice. "This is Earth. Final key. Confirmed." The stars dimmed, and the dreadnoughts opened. The dreadnoughts opened like ancient cathedrals, not with fire. Not with weapons, but with release. Panels peeled back. Hulls split along lines no one had ever mapped. Inside there were no guns. No engines. Just chambers. Empty. Dark. Sacred. And one by one they began to sing. It wasn't music. It was remembrance. The sound of old blood echoing in cold steel. A funeral hymn composed in a dead language, carried through the vacuum by something stronger than physics. Every ship that heard it stopped moving. Even the Syrexian war fleets. Even the pirates and scavengers and rogue states watching from the edge of deep space. Because this wasn't war. It was truth. Inside the amber construct, the thing Earth had buried stirred. It didn't roar. It wept. A soundless, massive wave of memory poured from the core, spilling out through the stars like ash from a shattered urn. And everyone who heard it saw something. Their own death. Not pain. Not punishment. Their forgotten self. A soldier on Virel dropped his rifle, tears streaming down his scaled cheeks. "I saw my brother," he whispered. "I killed him for rank. But I felt it this time." A Thalaxian queen mid-negotiation screamed and tore out her crown. "No throne is worth this." And in the great chamber of Cyrex itself, Counselor Vior collapsed onto his knees, trembling. "I mocked them," he whispered. "I mocked their silence." And the galaxy finally understood. The dreadnoughts weren't deterrents. They were warnings, not of Earth's strength, but of its restraint. Inside the construct, the voice spoke again. Containment holding. Entity stabilized. Directive complete. Dreadnoughts to return to Sol orbit. Await sleep. No fireworks. No super weapons. No final strike. Just completion. Earth had waited 74 years in silence to make sure the galaxy was safe from what they themselves buried. The dreadnoughts began turning back toward Earth, slow, tired. Admiral Krylos watched from the observation deck, eyes full of something more powerful than fear, shame. They didn't build them to conquer, he said. No, whispered his lieutenant. They built them to guard us from themselves. The ember light faded. The sphere collapsed. Not violently. Just closed. And the stars looked normal again. But no one would forget. No one would dare. Back on Earth, there was no celebration. No speech. Just a brief update in the orbital traffic net. D-5 vessels returned to sleep status. Earth remained silent. And in the void where the amber construct once pulsed, there was nothing. Just the echo of the words they all now feared. The galaxy thought Earth was defenseless. They were wrong. They were lucky. And they knew next time silence won't mean mercy.